Aloha. Happy week 13. And great to be with you and offer these teachings and offerings. And there's been a big request. I talked about this last week, and now we're going to post it this week around the topic of emotional fasting. Again, emotional fasting. And I was going to talk about it last week, but I wanted to wait till we kind of finish the emotion code modality we're working with in the Diamond Heart Project. Kind of get through that process, because the emotion code, you actually want to process emotions. Which is more a little of a counter approach than what we're talking about now with emotional fasting. And, it was more or less talking about how we're coming out of that blue moon experience, coming these portals. And there's so many shifts we're going to have between the 10th and the 14th of June till we have the new moon the 15th. And it's really important to go into a space, like an agreement you have with yourself around just being able to fast for emotions. There are going to be past traumas, past experiences. I've had many visions of past moments in my life this past week that I completely forgot about, but was right back in it. It just appeared out of nowhere. Maybe I was in yoga studio or out doing cardio or doing something, and all of a sudden the vision or this experience just flashed from my mind. And I was able to just really be in it around what they call emotional fasting, not be attached to it at all, not really, not in a place of resistance, but being able to witness those experiences in the past without having any emotional attachment to it. And this is something we've talked about since the beginning around being in a space of neutrality and how powerful that space is. And this process of emotional fasting is like an elevated version of that, really being able to just be reminded of these past traumas or experiences that are coming up, because they're coming up. Everything has to come up to come out, right? Think of purging in ceremony. Everything has to come up to come out. So it has to come to the surface to then fully be released. Just like the human patterns, with Ren Shui and doing the pattern work, the pattern begins to show up a lot more as it's coming to the surface. Might show up as you talk to the clerk at the grocery store, then to a friend, then a family member. All of a sudden that pattern is showing up everywhere, because it's coming to the surface to fully be released. This is very similar to traumas or past emotions or experiences we hold in our tissue. When they're really beginning to be released, they're coming to the surface. And so it's important that you be aware of and conscious of the process of emotional fasting, being able to acknowledge those experiences, accept that they happened, without needing to reactivate the emotions that came with it. And you're not resisting the emotions, but it's just it's so played out. That trauma is so played out in your life. You relive that so many times, consciously, subconsciously. It isn't about you diving back into something that is so far from where you are now. It's about just being able to let the vision of it, the memory of it, just pass you by in a beautiful way without having an emotional, because the emotions reenact it, right? The emotions kind of give it some life. And just being able to fast from the emotions from those experiences, emotional fasting. And this is different than a disassociation. This is different than resisting yourself to feel. This is more or less watching something go by so fast that you don't grab onto any part of it. You don't grab onto a memory, you don't grab onto a detail, you don't grab onto an emotion of it. You just let it drive right past quickly, right? And so yeah, that's the process of emotional fasting. And this is a much more a reference point to something you experience than it's something you plan for or to navigate ahead of time. This is something that you just have to live and have the experience. Oh yeah, I had that memory and it was really beautiful. I did some emotional fasting around it, allowing it just to pass by in a really beautiful way, So that's emotional fasting, and it's much more experiential than it is teachable in the process. But it's a really good implementation of a modality or some conscious awareness around something, a technique that you can use when things begin to really come up, that maybe used to be heavy, that are just coming up to be released. When something's being released. You'll know whether something's coming up for you to be reminded of something, for you to process something else that's going to lead you somewhere, or if it's just coming up one more flash of that memory before it actually fully leaves your sphere of influence. So again, we got some more questions around it in the integration call, but that's just what emotional fasting is. And again, it's much more experiential than logistical or something we teach. So hopefully you have some experience with that, and we can talk about it more in the integration call. So love you all. Blessings.